morning, everybody, and welcome back to another fabulous Hank's Think Tank podcast. Today we'll be on our musician series, Support Your Local Musicians. And we have today, along with my buddy Hank Vance.
Peace. What's up?
We have Mr. Eric Hancock, and he plays badass lead guitar for the Reverb Cartel right here in Greater Houston and surrounding areas and possibly states. Eric, thank you so much for coming out, man.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm going to be famous.
Yeah,
At least with dozens.
Yeah, that's part of the deal.
yeah, you'll have dozens of people will see this, and some of them won't even be your friends and family. It might be
That's
some
right.
strangers and stuff involved.
Yeah, you never know how it's going to go. Just wanted to mention, too, as kind of an extension of our last podcast, Mark decided to get me a bottle of Revel Stoke Pecan, and it was the one that I liked so much last time. This was the Christmas one, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
That
So
was
we're-
our big winner.
So we're going to crack the top on that. We're going to get started in a few minutes.
Highly recommended by Maria.
There you go. Hey, how's Maria doing anyway?
I hadn't been able to catch up with her.
Oh, well, we're gonna have
She's
to
been
catch
off
up.
every time I go back up there.
Oh,
I'm
that's-
working on it.
Yeah, you got to work on that. All right, so the Reverb Cartel, and we were talking a little bit before the podcast, and I found some stuff that you were telling me interesting. So you started the band. How'd you start it, man? I mean, you just decided one day, hey, it's time to start a band? Or?
Well, I always played in bands when I was younger, and I original bands. And then I kind of hung it. I got frustrated with that when I was about 40, and went into the working world. Started getting paid. Started working instead of trying to be in a band. And I went 10 years, a little more than 10 years, without even barely picking up my guitar. And about 4 years ago, I just started thinking about it. I started kind of getting the itch, I kind of missed it. And just started thinking about it. And I thought, well, am I too old to do this now? And then I was like, no, who cares? I said, what's the worst that could happen? Is it
That's like saying, am I too old to have fun anymore?
That's it.
right?
That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
long as you got your digits and you can still think, man, yeah, you can
That's
do
it.
That's it.
So the other thing I did at the same time, I started taking lessons, which I had never done since I was 16. I just learned how to play the basics and then just did my own thing after that. So I started taking lessons and really studying the guitar. And my wife came home one day, and I was working on the Pink Floyd song "Money," the guitar solo.
Yeah.
And she came home, and I was practicing it, and she made this little video, just this little snip of me playing this. It's like, oh, my husband's a guitar player, and put it on Facebook. And she has a friend who I knew but I'd met but didn't really know. He's a drummer, and he's a guy, similar situation, a guy named Greg Sherman. So he told her, if he wants to put a band together, let me know. So I said, what the heck? So he and I got together, and then we added a bass player, and actually we went through I think we're on bass player number 7 now.
Good bass players are hard to find.
We have it, yeah. But anyway, we just built it piece by piece and got up to a 5-piece band and played out for about a year and a half. And then right before the COVID hit. Yeah. And we're really it's exciting. I mean, we're getting some cool gigs, and we're really getting better as a band. And at that time, and all of us we have 3 new guys in the band, I should say. After the COVID, we've regrouped. But we all have regular jobs. We all have families. We all have
jobs.
Yeah. We're not, we're at a point in our lives now where we're not trying. It's not like we're trying to get a big record deal. We're just doing it now. It's different. We're doing it because we love music,
Right.
And we're good musicians, and when we get together, there's just nothing like that feeling you get when the band is in the pocket,
And the feedback from a live audience that appreciates it.
Oh yeah, there's just nothing like it, and it's so exciting. We're just thrilled. So now we started to play again. We've played 3 gigs so far. We played the Antique Festival in Round Top, which I never knew anything about, never even heard of it, and that was awesome. It was so much.
They had
fun.
a lot of people come through that antique
They
show.
say millions, yeah. And it's like it's just this whole little city, just almost, or a community, just sort of appears along this highway, and it's one shop after another.
Kind of like it reminds me of Canton with their flea market thing.
Never been to either.
Huh.
I don't get out much. I stay in the studio and just kind of.
We need to fix that.
Yeah, it'll happen.
So we're going back to Dan Electro's was a guitar bar in the Heights is where the last big gig we played before the COVID hit, and we're going back there in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from tonight.
May 1st, right?
Yeah,
I'm going to go check that out.
and we're
myself.
so excited.
And where's it at in the Heights?
It's like
East 24th.
Oh,
East
thank
24th.
you.
Yeah.
Thank
Cool.
you. It's a residential neighborhood, so you
Yeah.
have to be done by midnight. So
Oh, you did?
yeah, so
Wow.
we're going to play about
Noise
8. We're
ordinance.
going to start about 8:30.
That's cool.
And then we're playing the Strawberry Festival in Pasadena 2
Oh,
weeks
wow.
after that. I've never knew anything about that either.
That's huge, man.
It is?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've heard it is.
No kidding.
Yeah, I've heard
Huh.
that it is.
And then the July 4th weekend, we're going to be at the Jailhouse Saloon in Old Town Spring. Y'all
Cool.
ever been there?
Beautiful.
Yeah, I've seen
I'm
that
sure they
place.
can.
Yeah.
They can go to your website and your Facebook, and
Oh,
it'll
yeah.
tell you exactly
Yeah.
how to go there. And
That's a neat place. It used to be in a jail, literally a jail, like
Yeah.
in the 40s or something. And they still have the part of the original structure. And
Right.
The
Yeah,
bars
we went
and
on
everything.
my
Cool.
wife and I went on the haunted ghost tour thing. She's into that a lot.
Spaghetti Warehouse,
And,
probably, and everything.
And spring, yeah, and the
It's pretty good.
Isn't it awesome? Yeah. And the jailhouse was part of it. So,
Really?
Yeah. So I got to see it. Yeah, that's going to be a great place to play.
We played there. They gave us our first real gig when we got started in the Reverb Cartel. So we're always kind of feel loyal to them. But they have an outdoor stage, and one time we were playing, and in the middle of the song, there's like 10 bikers that all turn on their, we were playing Leader of the Pack. And there's also
Get your motor running.
railroad tracks that
Yeah,
are right
right
next
there,
to that.
yeah.
Yeah, so the occasional interruptions.
Yeah, but that's okay though.
Yeah.
That's a good time to do Mystery Train when that thing starts rolling by, you know?
Yeah.
Just stop. Hey, I got a chance to look, and you've got an extensive set. So your set list is crazy. I was like, man, they know a lot of songs. I think I know 3. I know 3 Blind Mice,
That's not on there, man.
Mary Had a Little Lamb, and Stairway to Heaven.
The old gray
Don't play
goose.
that. You'll get kicked out if you
Duck
play
goose. The old-
That's it. But yeah, your set list is impressive. I mean, and what I
you.
liked about it was that it's from a whole bunch of different groups.
Oh.
So I mean, it's all kind of within the same genre, but it's
It's got
just
a
the
lot of
blend
stuff
is
that-
different. It's weird.
It's got a lot
Cool.
of stuff that I've thought of and tried to noodle out the melody of, like Midnight Rider, Allman Brothers.
That's a tough
Just
song
a-
to play.
Nah, not the bass line's not.
Yeah, the bass line's
Yeah.
not. But I mean, when you think about that, he had an orchestra there. When they recorded that song.
Yeah.
So that'd be a tough.
Willie Nelson covered that.
song. Really,
It was very
Waylon
cool.
Jennings covered that
Yeah.
song too. That's a widely covered song.
really.
The version we like is the Greg Allman version, which is a slightly different than the Allman Brothers version. There's a whole bridge section that's not even part of the original.
I'll go find that for sure.
It's on the deluxe. It's something, but it's Greg Allman, not
Yeah.
the Allman Brothers.
Right.
Yeah, Blue on Black, great song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just picked that
yeah.
up one day. One guy our singer Matthew knew that song, and there's only 3 chords in it or
Yeah,
something.
it's not hard.
That's what I love about it. It's 3 chords.
But it
rolling
sounds
along,
badass.
And then it's
Yeah.
got an awesome lead that I bet you do.
You know how we actually do it. Our keyboard player, Chuck Sweeney, he also plays a pretty mean guitar, but he plays the mouth harp or the harmonica.
Yeah.
So when we play Blue on Black, we trade 4s on that. He does a harmonica, and then I do the guitar, and we go back and forth.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's really cool hearing a real harmonica in the band too.
Right.
It's a unique instrument.
Yeah.
When we did it before, we didn't have a harmonica player, but our keyboard player could program his keyboard to do just about anything, and he would do the harmonica parts on the keyboard.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your influences a little bit, because
Okay.
I think it's always interesting. Especially, all guitar players seem to have a different collection of influences, at least the ones that I've talked to in the
Sure.
past. And so, how old are you?
54.
54. So you're a young man.
Yes, sir.
So let's talk about your influences. 60s, 70s. I would imagine early 70s.
Well, it'll start with my parents. My parents listened to a lot of music when I was born in 66.
Okay.
And my parents listened to a lot of Motown. They listened to Fleetwood Mac, the Eagles, Pink Floyd. Just, you know, in the 70s, which, by the way, in my view, is the best era of music.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, if people would listen to the whole album back then, and even the songs on the radio would have solos. You know,
they were longer.
Yeah.
Longer songs, man.
So my parents had a real open approach to music. They listened to everything, and so I got to listen to everything. So that's how I got, even, you know, all the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, all that stuff. But when I kind of came of age, I picked up I started the drums when I was in 6th grade, and then the guitar in 7th, played them both.
I started on drums too.
Did you really?
Before I sucked at guitar, I sucked on drums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I just sucked at guitar.
So my favorite band in high school, first I liked Van Halen. I was a big Van Halen guy, but I was never play like Eddie. But when the Police came along, that was a band that really, really hit me.
Yeah.
And Andy Summers is he's my favorite guitar player. I just love the chords he plays. He's like he comes from a jazz background, and he plays these exotic chords. But the other thing is, you know, it's a 3-piece band. And I just loved all the space in the music, you know, not the big wall of sound. It was like, so every member of the band was vitally important, you know. They wouldn't have been the same without him. Like, in my view, Sting wrote and recorded some very, very good music after the Police, but it wasn't the Police. To me, the Police was totally unique. So
yeah, and you can hear the difference. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I liked Andy Summers, and also I was a big U2 fan. Like The Edge. I got one of those Echo boxes, one of those delays too. I was playing that to a fault.
Yeah.
And then Lindsey Buckingham was a guy I've always liked
Lindsey
too.
Buckingham's talented dude.
People don't know that Fleetwood Mac was a great guitar band.
Oh, hell yeah.
They hear their little, top 10 hits and stuff, but if you dig down deep, it's some really cool.
Wasn't Peter Green? And Peter Green was in Fleetwood Mac.
He was, and Bob Welch was in Peter. You remember him?
Yeah.
Ebony Eyes. I think he quit Fleetwood Mac. That was right before Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks, which of course were a package deal.
Right.
When they joined the band.
Yeah, Lindsey Buckingham, when he plays, sometimes it sounds like he's got 14 fingers on one hand.
He's phenomenal.
He's great.
And
he's self-taught.
He is?
Can't read music.
Huh.
Yeah.
He doesn't use a pick either.
No.
He's all finger picking.
That's nuts.
Yeah. But now another guy David Gilmour, I'm a big David Gilmour fan from Pink Floyd. But back to my guitar studies, and by the way, my guitar teacher is a guy named Glenn Ackerman. He's a fantastic jazz guy. His preferred instrument is the bass, but he can play anything. But anyway, about a year ago, we decided he's like, pick out one of your favorite guitar players, and we're going to study this guy. You're going to learn his solos note for note, and to the point where they'll become part of your repertoire, right?
That's cool.
And then we'll go on to another guy. So the guy I picked out was Peter Frampton. And, oh my God, I've learned so much.
Frampton's underrated.
You know, he does not get mentioned enough,
Yeah.
along with the other guys. But he's another guy that came from a jazz background.
Did he really?
He sure did. And I didn't know that until my guitar teacher, what we'll do is he'll listen to the song, he'll just write it out. You don't even have to.
Really?
He's that good. His ear is just unbelievable.
Yeah, perfect pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, he doesn't have perfect pitch, and he'll tell you that. And he'll say, I asked him about perfect pitch once, and he said, you don't want perfect pitch. He said, people that have it, a lot of them, it's annoying.
Really?
Like, it drives them nuts. Like, they'll hear a tire rotating at a certain frequency, and it's the wrong frequency or something.
I think Vince Gill has perfect pitch, and he's complained about it before.
Yeah, that's what
he's another great guitarist, by the way. Vince Gill's good.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. Yeah. And he's underrated, because
Vince Gill,
because he's got the voice, and he can belt it out. But he's underrated as a guitar player. But I took some time to kind of check out Vince Gill for a while.
Yeah.
And I was really surprised. I'm not that big of a country music fan either. But Vince Gill's just really, really good.
I like his singing.
Surprised.
I don't know much about it.
good.
I don't listen to much. The only country I've ever listened to, really, my dad was into Waylon Jennings for a while.
Yeah.
And Willie Nelson. And this is when we were in Springfield, Missouri. He took the whole family to see Waylon Jennings. This would have been in 1980, 82, something like that. And It was a terrible
Waylon was way into
It was
chemicals
terrible.
at that point.
He said, and we all saw it. He couldn't keep up with the band.
Really?
Yeah, he was drunk or
Yeah,
something.
I went to see Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings once, and he didn't show up because he was hungover.
Wow.
And I was like,
he
"Damn
was
it,
he
man."
had a really life-threatening episode back in the late '80s.
That's too
But
bad.
he cleaned himself up.
I read at the peak of his excesses, he was smoking 2 or 3 packs a day.
A couple of quarts of was it gin or
Yeah,
something?
and a couple of 8 balls.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
And
That's rough,
I
man.
think he developed diabetes and had his foot amputated or something.
Really?
Yeah, he lived a hard life and it caught up to him. But you remember that movie that Jeff Bridges was in? He played that country and western singer, Bad Blake. He won the Oscar for it.
He had his last gig on the movie was a bowling alley or something.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Yeah, that was hard to watch.
Great movie, and the whole movie I thought was that I think this is about Waylon Jennings. It seemed like it was about Waylon Jennings.
Yeah.
And Jeff Bridges in that movie, he sang all the vocals.
Really?
He didn't write the stuff, but he sang all the vocals. And then when you're watching the movie, you're thinking, "Hey, Jeff Bridges, he's got a pretty good voice. He can sing." And then they played one Waylon Jennings song, and you're like, the one about "Somebody told me when I went to Nashville, son, you finally got it made." Remember that song?
Hank, are you sure Hank
Hank,
done it
yeah,
that
yeah.
way?
So
Yeah.
when you hear Waylon Jennings sing, you're like, "Oh, yeah, that's what a big voice sounds like."
Yeah,
Yeah.
it came from way down here.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, my idea of country music and coming up when I was noticing music, 12, 13 years old, was, Allman Brothers. And then Leonard Skinner just blew it wide open for me. To me, that was country music, you know?
Was it?
Well, it's about as country as I
Southern?
liked back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, Southern rock.
Southern rock.
Yeah.
And I eventually got more into Willie and Waylon and Merle Haggard. He'll make you cry. So you got to listen to him when your buddies ain't around, right? Merle Haggard's great,
Yeah.
or was.
Yeah. I don't know, man. My ex-wife really liked country music, and I really didn't like her.
I can understand that.
You know, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was a kid, I was listening to Robin Trower and Jimi Hendrix and Jeff Beck and, you know, all those guys who
He
I thought
turned me
were-
on to Jeff Beck.
Who were major guitarists.
Thank you for that.
You know, hey, you're welcome, man. Jeff Beck's the shit. You know?
Man, I just started listening to Robin Trower. I never knew about him.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Robin Trower's
just
amazing.
found out about that guy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say.
He's still kicking and touring and
Is
Yeah,
he?
he's
going
like
on. Yeah,
close
man.
to 80.
He's over
Yeah.
80, I bet you.
Really?
I bet he is.
And,
Boy, he's
and
got
he
a-
can tear it up.
He's got a tone.
Yeah.
Whew. That
Yeah.
Univibe is a big part of that pedal.
Yeah, Univibe, and he's got a half of a clothespin. So he took the wooden clothespin and busted it in half and stuck it in that Univibe.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
And yeah, it's at a certain part, and it's
Come
been there
on.
for years. No, it's on. You can check it out on YouTube. He
Oh.
talks about it all the time.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's where he developed his tone from.
Another thing I read is
Yeah.
I always get it confused, but the distortion pedals usually comes before or after the.
Oh, don't even ask me about pathways.
Well,
man. I have
he's
no
got
idea.
it backwards, the way that it's supposed
Yeah.
to sound awful. But what he does is he sets it up that way, and then he EQs his amp.
Yeah.
Now, usually EQ your amp first, right, and then do
Right.
your pedals. But he does it the other way, so he makes it work with that configuration.
It's
Works
crazy.
for him.
Yeah.
That's another thing I just kind of figured got turned onto is that Univibe sound.
Oh yeah.
I
like
mean,
it.
David Gilmour uses it.
Yeah, I like it.
But back in the day, I always used a chorus, like
Yeah.
Andy Summers. But the Univibe's a little different.
Right.
I guess it's slower and it's a little more pronounced.
Yeah. So you still use pedals in your setup?
Yeah.
I saw you stomping on some
Yeah.
stuff, man.
Shoot, that thing about a pedal board is never finished. But it's bigger than I can even care to admit. It's this wide and
Yeah.
it's this deep.
You got to make two trips to get it out of the truck.
And I got an upper level and a lower level.
Right.
And I think there's 14 pedals on it.
That's good.
But part of it for me, I've always liked to build things and construct things and
Right.
little woodworking, that kind of thing. So I built it.
Cool.
Jimi Hendrix invented the Crybaby Wah pedal.
He did.
Did he?
Yes, he did. Look it up.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's another one. I never had a wah-wah back in the day, and I just got one. and I was like, wow, I should have tried this before.
Oh yeah, yeah, they're nice.
Yeah. You can overdo it, I guess, but I only play it on a couple of songs. We do Purple Haze, and I don't think he plays wah-wah on Purple Haze, but I do. And I don't even, the solo that Jimi Hendrix plays on the end, I don't even try to do it. Even if he played it perfectly. And my guitar teacher will tell you, he doesn't teach Jimi Hendrix because he has his style of playing.
It's a style.
It's a style.
Even Jimmy never played it the same way twice.
He didn't. You know, I was watching actually one of his live performances yesterday. Found myself with a little bit of time, and I said, okay, I'm going to check this out. And it's just so effortless, man. You know, and he's got, have you seen his hands? He just had these gigantic hands.
Yeah.
Looks like he could wrap his fingers around the neck twice.
George Harrison the same way. He's got these big spider hands.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And he didn't play bar chords because he was able to play with his thumb. He'd wrap his thumb over. He could cover 3 strings with his thumb.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Damn,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
You know?
I just read that in the studio, you know, he had those 2 Marshall stacks, you know, with double stacks.
Yeah.
And then when he recorded, everything was on 10.
Yeah.
Everything. And it was so unbelievably loud. It was a real challenge to actually record. And the people around in the building, it was a real...
Yeah.
And also apparently had a pretty open door policy with people coming in and hanging out and partying while he was recording.
Probably so. Yeah.
Different time.
Yeah. Incredible, you know, how different one guitarist can be from another. And, you know, what I always thought was weird is you can take the same guitar, be it a Stratocaster or Les Paul, it doesn't matter what it is, hand it to 3 different guys, and it's 3 different guitars.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, easily 3 different guitars.
There's that story.
Playing the same song, all 3 guys, yeah.
There's that story that Ted Nugent was on stage with Eddie Van Halen at a sound check, and he was like, okay, what's your magic trick here? What's the magic box? And he picked up Eddie's guitar and played it, and it didn't sound anything like Eddie. That's an old thing, though. It's all in the fingers, you know. It's all in the it's what is it? It's not the arrow. It's the Indian.
Yeah,
a lot of truth to that.
Yeah. Never heard it put like that, but yeah. I must just be a crappy Indian.
It's an old expression.
I'm a huge Stevie Ray Vaughan fan, so I've got all the tablature on that, and I can hit the same notes in the same sequence, but it ain't the same.
Stevie
There's
Ray
so much
was
feeling.
He was
in
another
everything
one.
he did.
He was another one that was effortless. Didn't need to look. It didn't matter. You know what I mean?
Right.
He just played. You know.
Amazing.
Man. And I always begged for one day. You know, I'm like, all right, if I can just go in the music room, sit down for 30 minutes, and get 15 minutes of badass out of it, just for me, not for anybody else. You know, it'd be awesome. Never happens. There's always a mistake. It always sounds like shit.
Well, I have on my Facebook a few videos.
Yeah, but you do great.
All right, take 32. Let's try this one more time, man.
There's a story about Stevie Ray Vaughan. They went on tour with Jeff Beck.
They sure did. I saw them.
And one of the members of one band was talking to the member of the other band, and it was Jeff Beck's band, and they were kind of like, man, we're worn out. We've been playing almost 2 months, or we played 2 shows a week. And the guy in Stevie Ray Vaughan's band said, man, we play like 300 shows a year.
Right.
Wow. Nothing. What are you talking about?
Yeah, double bills too.
And they say there's another story about Stevie Ray that he played real heavy strings.
13s.
Yeah.
13. Can
And
you imagine that? It's like a log.
And you think of all that string bending that he was doing, it's just his fingertip.
Yeah.
Couldn't
He was
take
down a half step though.
That's what, and that supposedly his guitar tech was the one that suggested that, just to ease up. But supposedly, when his fingertips would come off, you know, the calluses would come off, they would super glue.
Yeah.
Yep.
Have you heard that story?
Yeah, I have.
That they would super glue his calluses back onto his fingertips. And there's one video out there where he's talking to the crowd, and he holds his hand up, he's holding the pick, and you see all his fingertips just like, oh, God.
They're just
black.
gnarly.
They look black. You know, like they're dead or something.
Just gnarly.
And with all that string bending on those heavy string, I guess he had big hands, though. He was like Jimi Hendrix.
I guess so. I've never really noticed
He didn't
him.
really look like a big dude, so I don't know.
No, that's true.
He was a little guy.
Was he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I had a poster of the Beatles when I was a kid, and I noticed, I mean, you couldn't help but notice George Harrison's big old massive hands in the photograph. And so every video I've seen of them is like, no wonder, man. He just effortlessly reaching across 5 frets. Without,
Yeah, just a stretch. Eddie Van Halen had a crazy stretch. I think he had a 7-fret stretch is what they said. I don't see how that's even possible. But, yeah.
No matter how high you go, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Boy, that hit me a little bit when he passed last year.
It sucked. Because that's
I didn't
talent
see
that's
that
never,
coming, man. I
ever
thought he
coming
was
back.
past all that cancer stuff.
Yeah, I thought he was too.
Yeah, what a loss. I just saw, remember Hard Day's Night? You're talking about the George Harrison. Remember that movie, the black and white?
Oh, yeah.
I just saw that again. I remember seeing that 30 years ago and how funny it was. And I just saw it again. It's a hilarious movie.
Well, their big influence was Peter Sellers, who was even more huge in the UK than he was here back then, and Monty Python type stuff, and so they incorporated a lot of that in there. They wrote Hard Day's Night in one day because they didn't have anything that they wanted to overlay the opening credits.
Yeah.
Or even a title.
Isn't that something?
So Lennon and McCartney got together and said, all right, crank this up. What do you think of that? It works, and that's our title.
Really?
Genius comes in handy.
That's
You know?
just crazy, man.
There's a scene in the movie where a reporter is talking to Ringo, and she says, "Are you a mod or a rocker?" And he says, "I'm a mocker." And I remember thinking, you know what? I think they got that in Spinal Tap. There's a reference to Spinal Tap.
Spinal Tap, it's a great movie, man. It
Where
goes
he
up
says-
to 11.
Where he's playing the piano and he says, "I'm heavily influenced by Bach and Mozart in simple intertwining melodies." It's kind of a mock piece. That's where they
Right.
got it from the Beatles. And what's the name of that song? This one's called "Lick My Love Tongue."
Yeah, right.
I tell you, every musician I know quotes Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
Everyone. We love it.
Oh, yeah.
We
Every
all-
volume goes up to 11.
These go to 11. Well, why don't you just put them all down to 10? Wouldn't they all be the same that way? These go to 11.
I'm not going to change his mind. Nigel. I think that was Nigel, yeah.
That movie is one of those movies that's almost, the quoting it from it is almost funnier than the movie.
Yeah. So back to the Cartel. So you got a 5-piece band.
Yeah.
How hard was it to put together 5 guys that mesh, that work? Because I've watched
it's
your
been a work
YouTube
in
videos,
progress,
and
apparently.
I've watched your YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Y'all sound great. So I mean, that's hard to do.
It is hard because, back to, we're not trying to get a record deal and get rich and famous. So it's kind of, if you're trying to do that, you can put up with some guys that have some issues, if they're talented enough. But now we're doing this for joy. So you have to get the right mix of guys that all get along. And I would say we're all fairly laid back. Personality-wise, we don't have anybody in the band that's a big egomaniac.
That comes with age too, though.
I think,
Yeah.
But we've been through a few of those guys too.
Prima donnas.
Yeah, we've had guys that have come in and they were real talented or felt like they had a lot of potential, and then they try to take over the band or try to just derail everything. It's always been hard to find the right mix of players, because being in a band is more so when you're younger and it's you and me against the world, but it's kind of a marriage,
Sure.
You have to be able to leave your ego at the door, because if we really aspire to play these songs not just as well as we can, or as well as they do on the record, but we're not trying to be the band that sounds exactly like the record. We want to sound like us playing that song. And even though we didn't write the music that we're playing, not yet, we do have original stuff that we're
I saw that.
going to get to. We're putting ourselves into our interpretation of how these songs are played, and like on the guitar point of view or perspective, sometimes I'll play the lead the way it is on the record. Sometimes I'll just play a little bit of it and do it kind of improvise.
That's
That's
cool.
where we put ourselves into it. But we take a lot of pride in the work we put into it, and we hit our marks, and we endeavor to knock people out when they come and see us. And it's been really, really great. The people that have come get into it, and we seem to be able to project the feeling that we get to them. There's an energy there,
Right.
and, you know, it's
Yeah,
fun.
it's got to feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the songs that we pick, the other thing is like, and this has been an interesting thing for me, because back in the day we only played our own music. You know, we wrote all our own music. And
Yeah.
I used to look down my nose at cover bands, you know, so it's like I'm an artist and I'm playing my own music and all that. But now that I'm doing it, I have a completely different perspective, because now, you know, when you play your own music and you write your own music, you're in a bit of a, or you can be in a bit of a vacuum where you know, you're writing your own style, your own thing. When you play cover songs, you're looking at songs that whoever that guitar player is, or bass player or drummer, they've probably put hundreds or countless of hours into getting that part the way it is.
Right.
And then the
And
audience has their
the au-
expectations.
The
too.
audience has heard it before, so if you don't play it, if you don't do justice, you know, to the integrity of that part, you're doing a disservice.
Even more so for tribute bands.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Then you even have to dress like them and everything. But the other thing that's been so exciting as a guitar player is I'm learning all these new techniques and styles that I never even dreamed about before. Everything from country style licks to there's AC/DC stuff, different picking. You know, I'm studying Peter Frampton. But all these different styles that I never knew about, and it was really I should have been doing this when I was doing the original music, is learning all these other things, but I was just focused on the thing I was trying to do. You know, I wanted to do something different. I didn't want to compete with all these other, you know, these shredding guitar players.
Yeah.
It was never my thing.
There's a lot of those out now too.
Well,
It's just
there
noise.
always will be.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now I have a whole different approach to the guitar. I'm putting an honest study of the craft and learning the harmony and learning how it all works together, how it works together. Like music, to me, is really a language. You know?
Absolutely.
You can write it, you can speak it, some people can understand.
You can yell it, you
or they
can
can-
whisper it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a language, and it's so
Definitely.
steeped in the history and how it all came together. You know, like my guitar teacher will tell me that blues players are what really changed a lot of things in how music is heard. Because if you go back to the way music was written originally, from the intervals to the keys to the scales to the note selection to the chords, there's a specific thing. You can do this and you can't do that.
Right.
Well, then blues players came along and they started kind of
Throw
breaking
some
the
minors and some
Yes,
sevenths in there,
yeah,
and
blends and
Wow.
all
Modes.
these things.
Yeah.
And they really changed the way that we heard music and understood it. And they affected us as listeners, that now we heard it enough that it became these things. There is it's a language and it's black and white, but there's all these gray areas. You know, like Eddie Van Halen would say, if it sounds good, it is good.
Yeah.
And that's
It's
it.
true.
That's
bottom line.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the blues it gave birth to rock and roll, you know.
Absolutely.
So
And country to a lesser degree, I guess. And but back to the songs that we picked out, we didn't want to be that band where, like I used to think of a cover band as they're playing all the hits and everybody's happy and you know
Right.
they're not pandering, but just playing all the hits,
Taking the easy way out for sure.
We never wanted to do that. We wanted to pick out songs that we liked, you know, that we liked when we were growing up and when we were younger and in those eras, and maybe that weren't the number one hit, but maybe it was on the record. It was a minor hit.
Right.
Now we do like "Money" by Pink Floyd. That was a pretty big hit, I guess.
Yeah.
We
Superstition. That's a tough song to play. I tried. It's,
Oh, yeah.
Man, damn.
Man, we have so much fun playing that song.
Yeah.
It's cool. Our drummer plays just on the back of the beat on that. It's so cool. It's right in the pocket, and our bass player is just phenomenal. Just the groove is just right there with those two guys, and we love playing that song.
That's the backbone of the whole thing right there.
Yeah,
Bass and
it.
drums.
yeah.
So do you ever get any people come up and go, "Hey, you know, you tried on this song, but it just didn't make it"? I mean, do you get any harsh people?
Well,
harsh
you know,
listeners?
my wife will tell me occasionally when I play her a song that we were working on in rehearsal. You know, that's before we played it to the public, but not really. No. I
So
mean,
everybody's pretty kind?
We're pretty critical among ourselves. I mean, we have songs that we don't want to play a song until we feel like it's really we can nail it. Knock everybody out. And we've also picked up a couple songs and we played it for a while and didn't quite get it. Like you remember "Walk on the Ocean" by Toad the Wet Sprocket?
Yeah.
Really beautiful song, and we almost had it, and we decided it just wasn't quite cutting it. But we had a pretty neat approach. Chuck, our keyboard player, he also plays mandolin.
Yeah.
And so we tried it a couple of different ways, and great song. But
Keyboard's tough too. I tried that for about 15 minutes, and I was like, nah, I don't have the right hands for that.
yeah, I had the same experience. I did that also way back in the day with a harmonica. I was like, hey, I'm going to learn how to do the harmonica. So
I tried that too.
I bought a harmonica, and I bought
deal.
the book,
Yeah.
and I tried it for about a week, and I was like, screw this.
I was
Yeah.
trying to be Black Oak, Arkansas, and it just wasn't happening on that little C chord thing, man.
I thought you just blow in and out, but you got to make your tongue like that.
Oh, yeah.
U
It's rough.
shape.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and you're making your bends and you're bending it. And,
But one thing about the harmonica, if you're playing a harmonica if you have the right harmonica for the key of the song, every single note you blow in or out is in the key.
Right.
So you can't exactly make a
Right.
mistake.
every note fits kind of.
Oh, I can make mistakes. I can prove
Well,
it.
yeah,
Check
okay.
out
That's for
Aerosmith's "Honkin' on Bobo." Bobo is the harmonica,
Yeah.
and that is a great album, by the way.
Oh,
"Honkin' on Bobo," yeah,
I remember the name. I loved Aerosmith too.
me too.
Steven Tyler, man, he could.
I've only seen them one time, and it was a complete downer, man.
Really?
Throughout the '70s, they were one of our heroes,
Yeah.
So I was married the first time, and
We'll get into that in a minute.
Aerosmith was coming to town in 1984, maybe 1985, and so we boog on down to the summit, and it was gonna be so great. It was so dead and lifeless and uninspired
Really?
that even me, I thought, "Are you ready to get out of here?" I think we did leave early.
Wow.
It was awful. And I read later, years ago probably, that they were going through some heavy motions with a lot of drugs and alcohol, and were doing good just to show up in one place at that time. So too bad.
Yeah.
And then 4 or 5 years later, they're on top of the world again, with Janie's Got a Gun and everything.
yeah.
So
You figure if you're a rock star and you're on tour, you don't have to think about anything other than being on stage when it's time to play. Your meals are provided for you. There's all kinds of booze and everything. You don't have to do
everything is
anything.
catered. All your equipment's
Somebody's-
going to show up and be in tune.
Somebody's going to get you up out of your bed if you're asleep. All those things. You could see it would be easy for a lot of people to, you're treated like that where.
Sounds great to me.
Yeah, shoot. That's like every teenager's boy's dream, to be a
Sure.
rock star and go on tour. But I think it's hard for a lot of people. I don't know. I never really did it. We did 2 shows when I first moved to Houston in 1988. I was with the band I was in, and there was a band here called King's X that kind
I
of took
remember
us. They kind of took us under their wing, and we rehearsed in their room, and those are 3 of the nicest, beautiful guys you'll ever meet in your life, and one of the best rock bands ever. Just phenomenal. But we played 2 gigs with them on the road. We went to Jackson, Mississippi, and then we went to Pensacola, Florida. That was my only real experience on being on the road with that one trip. Though we went back to Springfield, Missouri a couple of times to play there. And then when we were in Pensacola, we did this radio promotion with them. I was trying to think. I was thinking you might ask me what was the oddest thing that ever happened to you.
Oh, it's coming.
Again.
Yeah.
So I was thinking. I came up
maybe
with one story. We went on. We did this radio promotion with King's X, and we were in the booth. I guess you'd call it that, with the DJ, and he had us each band pick out a song to play and then introduce the song. So we picked out "Shoot to Thrill" by AC/DC, and I was the one who introduced the song. And we had a couple of beers before we got to the radio show. So the first thing I did, I said I was Jeff. That was the drummer in the band. I said, "I'm Jeff from Loving Gray." Like that was a big funny joke. So this is Shoot to Thrill by AC/DC, and the name of the radio station was like, I think it was TK101 or something. And I got, when I said, this is it, Shoot to Thrill by AC/DC on, I was going to say TK101, and I got kind of fumble mouth. I was TK, and the week before I had been to New Orleans for the first time, and I saw a restaurant. The name of the restaurant was Takey Outy. So when I got fumble mouth, Takey Outy.
That's awesome.
That was my big moment in the sun.
So you ever have any of those now when you're performing? Just kind of forget where you are, or end up in one part of the neck. You're like,
skip a verse. I've done that.
Of course. We have a joke in the band. There's like, they say there's 3 mistakes that you can make, and we added a 4th one. The first mistake is
only 3.
Yeah. They're in groups. The first one is the mistake that you make that only you know.
Okay.
And then there's the second level is when you make a mistake and the rest of the band knows. And then the worst one is when you make a mistake and people out in the audience know.
Right.
But we added a 4th one, and it's my guitar teacher. You make a mistake, and he's the only one that knows.
Right. And he'll tell you about it too, probably.
Yeah. He came to a rehearsal once, and we were playing Superstition. And on the part where it goes, when you believe in things that you don't understand, you will suffer. That part.
Yeah.
So I'm playing these 7th chords, and the keyboard player is playing something like a 7th chord, but there was one half step off in one of the notes that he was playing against one of the notes I was playing, and none of us knew it. None of us had ever heard it. And he came to a rehearsal and said, hold on a minute. You play what you're playing? And it's like, yeah, that's off. You're a half step off there. And we're like, oh, God.
Wow.
And then he showed me how to play the chords the way they're supposed to be played. And I tried it for a while.
And then fell back into your...
Gave up.
Yeah.
That's another thing with playing back to cover music. All these different chords that I never knew about these chords.
Yeah.
I mean...
a lot of inversions. And things
like one of the new songs we play is "I'll Be Around" by I think it's the Spinners.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you call me.
Beautiful song, man.
Love
Yeah.
that song.
Yeah,
and the
song.
chords are so simple, but I've never played them before. There's only 3 chords in that song.
Yeah.
And they're really hard. The way he plays it on the record, I came up with a way to play it slightly different that I can handle, but... Yeah, I mean, it's like guitar is like golf, No one ever masters golf. Even Tiger Woods, any of those guys, no one ever masters.
He needs to master
it.
driving,
There's
in my
always,
opinion. Shit.
No one ever masters golf, and very few people ever master the guitar. There are masters out there, but
Yeah, I think Joe Bonamassa's one.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah,
He
he's
gave
awesome.
me a pick used by Joe Bonamassa.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid to play with it. Put it under glass.
Yeah.
It's
Play
a little
it.
bitty song.
Play it and hope for the best.
Huh?
Yeah. Play it and hope for the best. That's what I do.
It might wear off on me.
Yeah, there you go. I heard a story, and I'm not sure where this came from, and maybe it was a movie I saw or something. I don't know. But they say every time a great guitar player dies, he's able to give his gift before he dies to another guitar player.
Really?
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Frank Marino?
Frank Marino.
Frank Marino. He's
Mahogany
Canadian.
Rush?
Yeah, Frank Marino, Mahogany Rush.
Oh,
Frank
yeah, yeah.
Marino's.
Boom, boom, go the lights.
Oh, yeah, he's awesome.
Okay. That was a while back.
He's an awesome guitar player. Really fast, really badass. He claims that when Hendrix died, he got Hendrix's talent, And that was through an acid trip and some other stuff, too.
Convenient claim to make.
Yeah, but, I mean, Frank Marino's awesome. And if you watch him play, they're really kind of similar. It's weird. It's really kind of weird.
People say that about Robin Trower too.
That
he
Trower's
plays
the
like
same. He does
like,
play like Hendrix. Yeah.
I think you have once in a generation type talents that just blow everybody away, and they have a style that nobody's ever thought of or even tried.
Nobody plays like Jeff Beck. Nobody.
And he put the pick down years ago.
Oh yeah,
too.
he threw that son bitch away.
He don't need that stinking pick.
Yeah.
He uses that whammy bar all the time too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it stays in his hand.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's
but
crazy.
You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
He's
Talk
got all
about
the freaky
feeling.
bends. You know, it's
Talk
like,
about feeling in every note. He has a he does Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Oh man, listen to it. Don't be around your buddies. They might get a little misty.
you know, like his whole Wired
Beautiful.
album, Jeff Beck Wired.
Yeah.
If you listen to those compositions are amazing, man. I mean, who put all that together? It had to be him.
Well, him and
You know?
Jan Hammer, which is a big jazz guy.
Remember him?
So that's where a lot of that influence is. And he got tired of playing the regular old blues and funky house stuff. And Jeff Beck said, "There's more out there, and I'm going to find what it is." You know?
What I like about him, which I also like about David Gilmour and Peter Frampton, is every note that they play is for a reason.
Yeah,
There's
there's no fillers in there.
Yeah, and with Peter Frampton, one thing I've learned about him is he really improvises a lot. Like one of my all-time most beautiful guitar solos I think ever played is on. You remember "Lines on My Face" on that Frampton Comes Alive?
Yeah, yeah.
Every solo in that song just tells a story, and it's just also deliberate sounding. But when you see YouTube videos of other performances, he never plays it the same way.
Right.
And it's like, God, how do you do that? Because it's it's a story. That song is about this agonizing story about his wife who's sleeping with everybody in town.
Right.
And the solos, in the first one, it's like, I swear this is what I hear. There's like 3 big solos or 4. And the first one is like, it's the guy is like, suddenly he's like, he sees his wife with another, he's like, he doesn't believe it. It's like in disbelief. It's almost tentative. And then the next one is anguish. He's really accepting that what's happened. Oh my God. And it's agonizing. And then the third one is anger. And to me, that's the way it sounds. He's speaking to me like that. And I think, how does a guy improvise and do that? But he's on another level. Those types of guitar players, they really are.
Yeah,
they're on another level. But the other thing that I've come to realize is what I always say about they always talk about the 10,000 hours. It's really true.
Do you think it's true?
I do, and I think that's how those guys.
I'm never going to make it.
I'm never going to make it either. I was never that guy to practice all the time. But that's how those guys do it. Is they're just playing their guitar all the time.
They said Eddie Van Halen didn't go party with his friends or nothing. He just sat at home on his bed and just played.
They said when he was on tour, he always had his guitar on.
Hendrix was the same way.
Yeah. I've heard that too.
18 hours a day. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't do that. I got to eat. I got to do other stuff.
It's not accidental. I remember. You remember Lance Berkman played for the Astros?
Yeah.
Is he in the Hall of Fame?
I don't think so.
Okay, but
one of the killer bees.
You know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
I heard him on a radio show once, and they're asking him, is it natural ability that got you to the major leagues? And he said, it's not natural ability for anyone that gets to the major leagues. He said, when I was growing up, my dad was having me take 500 swings against a heavy bag in the garage on each right-handed and left-handed. 500 swings. Every day. And he said that's how people get in the major leagues. It's that. It's putting that kind of work into it.
It's all that work.
But, if you're doing that, or if you're doing nothing but playing your guitar your whole life, what about the real world and people and stuff? I don't know.
Well, a lot of
guitar give that up for a while.
Guitar is muscle memory, so over and over and over and over and over again,
Yeah, which brings me to practice. I had a guy tell me once, he said, if you don't practice perfectly, you can't ever expect to be perfect. And so if you practice your errors and practice your mistakes and practice your laziness at the guitar,
you get real good at your mistakes.
You'll be awesome at it.
Right.
I don't know how many. It scares the crap out of me. It's like every time I play, I'm like, oh God.
I don't know how many songs I've thought I had pretty close, and I show somebody and they go, oh no, that's a G.
Yeah.
No, that's not a G right there. Oh yeah, it's a G. Listen to it again. You're supposed to hit it here. You mean I've gotten real good, so proficient at this screw up that I can't play it any other way now.
Yeah, and you're hearing it right. It sounds right to you.
Good to me.
Yeah,
wasn't to him.
I asked my guitar teacher one day, what's a typical practice session for you? The first 10 or 15 minutes he puts a metronome on at like only 70 or 80, very, very slow.
Yeah.
And plays quarter notes along with the metronome. And I'm like, what? You're like an accomplished, world-class bass player. You got to do that?
Yeah, you got to go back to the basics.
He's like,
man.
every time I practice. That's how
Wow.
I start off with just every single note I have to hit right on the rhythm. And then you subdivide it,
Right.
that kind of thing. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Golly. Well, I gotta work. I gotta go.
Yeah.
Come home from work.
I get warmed
Now, I
up.
did
and
spend a ton of time just running the pentatonic scale.
You do?
Yeah, I did for maybe a year. I'd come in, I'd spend an hour a day just running pentatonics, and I got great at it.
Really?
Got great at it, but I got great at it. That's
Yeah.
it. Who the hell wants to hear that? Ba, 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 ba. And it was, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And I can play it, but it's not music.
Yeah.
I think that you have to, when you practice all the basics and make sure you get that down, all the fundamentals.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then after
That's
that,
right.
you got to also practice. And
You got to challenge yourself.
Yeah, you got to
That's
get
all
out
is
there.
to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't have time for it anymore, and it sucks.
All right.
I love playing. I just don't get a chance to do it like I did.
It's all about the fundamental. I remember that from high school football, that coach would be like, you have to practice like you're going to play.
Yeah.
Practice got to be like the game.
Yeah.
It was intense practices.
So how much practice time do you have? Being that you're playing all the time, I would think you'd practice more often just to make sure.
Well, they
you're
have
dead on.
rehearsal, that's for sure. But you're
Rehearsal
talking about,
is once a week generally, and on a weeknight from usually about we start at 7:02 p.m.
7:02.
Actually, yes, yeah.
Don't you be rolling in here at 7:03.
That's just my own thing. I've always felt like
What the hell's the matter with you?
when people say
7:05.
I'm gonna meet me at 6:30. Well, what about 6:28? I feel like the other parts of the clock are on. They don't get their due. So
There you go. Yeah.
You're right.
We rehearse generally from about 7:02 to about 10:30, 11 once a week, and we practice is what you do by yourself. Rehearsal is when you get together
Right.
with the band. So we learn the songs that we pick out that we're going to do, and everybody shows up and we hammer them out. When the three new guys got in the band, one thing we did is we wanted each of them to contribute some suggestions for song. We wanted to get them represented in the new, the music that we do, because we had a 3 sets with the old band, but we want to feature the strengths of the guys that are in the band. So
Did they come one at a time or as a group from another gig?
Pretty much one at a time. Robbie, our bass player, he came with the singer that we had for about 6 weeks, and then he didn't work out. But we wanted Robbie to stay. He's a phenomenal bass player. And Greg and I have been in the band. The drummer, been in the band from the beginning. So and then Matthew, our newest singer, we got him from. There's a website called Band Mix, which is like a classified ad website for bands
Looking
Okay.
for work,
Yeah.
looking for a drummer, or
yeah.
whatever.
So
That's
I found
cool.
Matthew on that. He came out and we loved the way he sang. And then he knew Chuck Sweeney, who's our keyboard, guitar, harmonica player. He knew him from 10 years ago, or a band that he played with him a long time ago. So he brought him along. So that's how the newest configuration came about.
Well, that's cool.
And Chuck, Marathon Music, he's a manager. He manages like country acts and stuff. So he's kind of connected in the industry. So we're starting to get some actual gigs that pay us money.
There you go.
That's a new thing.
What a concept. There you go.
There's an old joke about a musician is a guy who crams $2,500 worth of gear into a $1,500 guitar, drives 50 miles to play a gig for 25
Yeah,
bucks.
that's
Yeah.
right. It's about right too.
Yeah.
Exposure, man. Got to find that exposure.
Man, that's another thing, because back in the day I had we were playing kind of hard rock type stuff, and I had at one point I had 4 amps, I've always had this beautiful 1963 Fender Super Reverb. That's my amp I've had since I was 19.
Man.
I had that.
Still got it?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Oh,
You got
yeah.
a Vox too, right?
Yeah, and I
I
had
thought I
the
saw
Vox AC30, and this is where I'm going with this story. I used to haul around all this equipment, when I was in my 20s. Now I'm in my 50s, and man, the next day I am just worn out.
Yeah, who wants to pick
So-
all that up?
So I still really, really like 2 amps because I like stereo effects. so I had the Vox AC30, which was the amp I always wanted, and it's a beautiful amp, but it weighs 75 pounds, and the Super Reverb weighs 75 pounds. My pedal board weighs 30 pounds or 40 pounds. So I downsized a little bit to the Vox AC15, but also I've got a amp doctor, a guy named Mike Freitas, who can do just about anything to guitar amplifiers. He took I've done a bunch of modifications to that Super, which a lot of people will say, oh, you can't do that. That's sacrilege. You can't doctor an amp like that. But he's done a power reduction. You know, that amp is so loud. I mean,
right.
You know, an old Fender, any, you know, Fender tube amp, you got to crank it up to really make those tubes work and make it sing, you know, like it's supposed to. And that Super is so freaking loud, it just blow everybody out of the room. So I had him do a power reduction, a couple other modifications to it to make it really, really sing. But I also had it, and this is the one I have an old friend who's a guitar tech for the Cult out in LA, and he says this is absolutely, you can't do this, you shouldn't have never done this. I had him rewire it to it's in stereo, so the two speakers up and down on the right side on the vibrato channel are one side, and the other channel is another side. So in theory I could just use that one amp, but I still bring the other one.
Right.
But it's a sweet amp.
Oh,
Absolutely love it.
I bet. Yeah, it sounds like a nice box.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trade it for anything. I'll have it till the day I die.
So how'd they go about doing the power reduction? You know, because Eddie Van Halen started working on that.
That's an old story about him.
Yeah.
And with the Variac, right? He would reduce the voltage.
He said he had electrocuted the shit out of himself a bunch of times.
Yeah. And a lot of people got their amps blown up.
Yeah.
Because he said something, I think that wasn't entirely factual about how he did it, and people blew up their amps.
Oh yeah.
But he did. It takes 6. I think it has 3 6L6 tubes. He put in 6 V6 tubes.
Okay.
Which is I don't exactly know how it works, but he also did on the ground switch, which is not, you don't need it anymore because he changed the plug to a 3-prong plug. The ground switch now also acts as a power up or down.
Okay.
And then the other thing is someone introduced a master volume on that amp. It wasn't born with it, so he took that and switched it into the negative. It's something called negative feedback, which is, the way he explained it to me is, it's this, when you're playing the amp and it's really loud, some of the frequencies start wanting to, the bass might be going a little bit outside,
right?
And the negative feedback keeps it all. It's almost, I guess, kind of like a compressor almost.
Yeah.
So he switched it to that, and I just have it turned all the way up, and I think it's similar to a presence knob.
Okay, cool.
So I got all the warbles and everything, and so now I can, when I turn it up to about 3.5, I can get that breakup from the tubes.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's still hard to not go in there by yourself and just turn the thing up,
Yeah.
But I bought that amp when I was 19 in Springfield, Missouri for $200.
You're kidding.
Yeah, it's a 63.
Check the price on it now.
Blackface 63. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So here's the question of the day. You and the drummer have been there from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Whose band is it?
Whose band is it? It's our band.
Okay.
It's our band.
That is a very good diplomatic answer.
It's our band. You have to have somebody who kind of steers the ship, and that's probably me, but I'm not like the band dictator or anything like that, but you got to have somebody who's kind of in that role.
Right.
Yeah, there's always a driving force behind it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to pick out who
Apparently
that
it's a
is.
shared thing, and it's
Absolutely.
Like with
Absolutely.
AC/DC, you would have never thought it was Malcolm. He's standing in the back, he's quiet, he's just playing rhythm.
I know.
You'd never think he was the driving force behind that band.
Right.
You'd think for sure.
it's that little monkey out there in the shorts with the hat
Yeah.
on. Gotta be.
And Malcolm wrote all the riffs, right? I think he wrote most of the songs.
Have you tried to play a lot of AC/DC?
We did. That's funny you brought that up. We did one AC/DC song. It was Back in Black, but we did it as a reggae.
Really?
We went back and
Yeah,
forth.
you know, I can see
Cool.
how you could
I like
work
that.
That's cool.
Back and forth in the same song with as a reggae.
Wow.
We don't do it anymore though. Greg kind of decided we weren't. It wasn't good enough. But
Yeah,
it was fun.
I, in my infinite wisdom, come in here, you know, turn the stereo on, start jamming. I'm like, man, that song's got to be easy to play. You know, it's dun dun dun. I mean, it's simple.
Mm-hmm.
You know, try it out. I don't know what they do with their chords. It's like they're playing half the chord. You know, almost like a I
Half
don't
the
know.
chord, and they're getting a jangly
Yeah,
effect out of it somehow. Yeah.
And Malcolm was just a freaking genius, man. Just a genius.
They would
you
just
know.
turn their amps all the way up when they recorded too. It wasn't any big secret. Just
Right.
turn them all the way up.
11 every
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And then Angus was
let
just
me-
that dude was a madman.
You know,
Let me-
he was a
let me-
child prodigy. He was
Really?
he was known as as a very young age being a brilliant guitar player.
You ever seen his hands?
Yeah, they're really small.
Fucking tiny.
I've learned
His guitar's bigger than he was.
just from that one song we did Back in Black.
Blows
I
my
learned
excuses right out of the water. I know.
this sweep picking kind of thing he does.
Yeah.
I never knew how to do that. Never thought about it until that song, Back in Black.
Yeah.
That guy's brilliant.
One of the
Oh, yeah.
best concerts I ever saw was them in the Summit. Angus, on his wireless guitar, jumps on one of the staff's shoulders and goes around the Summit with a crowd of people to keep him off of it.
I think I might have been there.
Nirvana. Oh my God! It went all the way around. He's just burning it up
Oh, yeah.
the whole way.
Was that when
Yeah.
King's X opened for him? Do you remember?
May have been. It was about 93.
I bet it was. King's X
93.
went on tour with AC/DC, and we were there at the concert at the Summit.
Uh-huh.
And I remember because after King's X played, we had backstage passes. My wife and I, my then wife, back in the early '90s. So anyway, we go backstage and we're going to find King's X, and we're walking down this hallway, and these four guys walk past us, going the other direction. Didn't even think anything about them, and I was like, "Wait a minute!" And I turned around. So wow, that's the band. They were all about this song.
Yeah,
They're
right.
like 3 feet tall. What the
2'2".
Yeah.
I've been looking for a bagpipe player because I want to do "Long Way to the Top," man. I love that song.
Have you ever been next to a bagpipe player?
No,
Okay, so my wife's on the fireboard.
hard on the ears.
Oh, dude. My wife's on the fireboard, and one of the firemen died or something, or there was something going on. I don't remember what it was, but we were at a funeral. And so this dude steps out, and I'm in the very front pew on the right-hand side. He steps out like 6 feet in front of me. He pulls out this bag. I'm like, oh, this is going to be cool. As soon as he fired that thing up, I thought I was going to die.
Really?
Yeah, I know I
Wow.
can't have kids because of that.
So like somebody raping a goose
Oh,
or
it was,
something.
it was the loud. I mean,
monkey trying to fight
and I'd
football.
been, and I've been to a Supertramp concert where the music actually hurt your bones. It was that loud.
Yeah.
And this was louder.
I saw Zeppelin
Really?
in
Son of a
'77.
bitch.
I never knew that.
Oh my God!
So it fills up. It's like a big pouch with air, right? It fills up with air. and
I'm not really sure how they make
pushing
that
the-
thing go, but once they start blowing that thing, you want to kill yourself. If you're close enough,
Yeah.
you really do. That thing is so loud. It's like, damn.
One thing I remember about that concert, there was no drinking, no beer sales. I think by request of the band, there won't be any
Really?
alcohol sales. And I remember how pissed off I was, especially when they broke out with "Have a Drink on Me." I wish I could, you sons of bitches. But
Well, they would. I read that they would travel when they were on tour. They would have this backstage. They would have this whole like a pub that was set up, and they would sit in the pub and have a few beers before they went on. I just read this.
Wow.
by the way. They would fully construct this.
maybe it was a
pub.
summit thing or a venue thing or something, but there was no alcohol sales.
Yeah, that would,
If I'd have known that, I'd have brought a flask in.
yeah, that'd have been a rough concert. You know.
I remember seeing Guns N' Roses around that time, and Van Halen with Sammy Hagar, and I love Van Halen with Sammy Hagar
Me too.
unabashedly. But I was never actually much of a Guns N' Roses fan. But when I saw Guns N' Roses, what really struck me is that Axl Rose, as soon as he was done singing, he was off the stage. And he would only come back seemingly for his singing parts. And of course, that was back when he would wait an hour and a half, to get his mind. He'd make 20,000 people wait an hour on him.
Yeah.
But anyway, he just seemed totally uninterested in being there. And then I saw Van Halen a month later, Same show, same venue, and I was really struck by how much they were. Sammy Hagar went out of his way to say how humble they were, and it was a privilege and a pleasure, and they were really happy to be there. And they seemed like they really appreciated the people there.
Right.
I'll never forget that. The Guns N' Roses was completely different.
After Sammy finished up with Van Hagar, or whatever you want to call him, they had what they call chicken foot.
Yep,
and he brought Michael Anthony
Yeah.
along on bass,
Yeah.
and I went and
Chicken
saw
Foot
them.
was good. Yeah.
Fantastic,
Yeah.
great show, and very humble. And he's a hometown boy too. So
Yeah.
Who?
Sammy Hagar,
He's from where?
he's from Houston, I believe.
He is?
I know he's from Texas.
Oh,
I think he's
I didn't
Houston.
know that. Oh.
Really?
Yeah,
I like Sammy Hagar.
Yeah, he's good.
And I, for my money, when he joined Van Halen, they became more musical. He's clearly a better singer than, in my view, than David Lee Roth. But I think they went to some musical areas that they couldn't have before. I thought he was great.
I agree. I love Van Halen and Van Hagar, and people can't accept that. You got to pick one. No, I don't. I like them both.
I love them both too.
Yeah.
The first couple of Van Halen albums were hard to beat by any standard.
Groundbreaking for sure.
Yeah. But the other thing is, every time I've seen him with David Lee Roth two or three times, and the guy can't sing. I don't think he could sing. He didn't even attempt to hit the melodies that were on the record.
He had a style. It was a great scream.
Yeah, he was a showman. He had a good show.
He was a showman. For
yeah,
sure.
That was his thing.
showman.
Yeah, and I read that. You remember Ted Templeman? He was a producer who produced Van Halen's up until like 5150, and a lot of acts in the 70s. Great book, by the way. Fantastic. He produced Van Morrison, Linda Ronstadt, all those guys. But he said when they would record Van Halen, they would do all the basic tracks together with David Lee Roth singing, and then the band would go home, and then they'd be there the rest of the night to fix all the vocals or to redo all the vocals. And like, it was a real process.
Really?
Yeah, but he spoke very well of David Lee Roth as far as his lyrics and things like that. I also read in that book that, you remember that song "I'll Wait"? Wait till you're there.
Yeah, it's way up there.
Yeah,
Song.
so they're in the studio, and David Lee Roth is having trouble coming up with the right lyrics and the right melodies for that song. So Ted Templeman knew Michael McDonald because he had produced him in the Doobie Brothers. Mm-hmm. So he brought Michael McDonald in, and he sat down with David Lee Roth, and they went through the whole thing and worked it out, and he added all this stuff, and then they recorded it, and then he stiffed him on the royalties. Totally didn't give him any credit, financially or otherwise.
Thanks for your time and your help and your creating this.
Yeah.
Don't know you anymore.
Yeah.
Too bad.
Yeah, I love me some Michael McDonald too.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of his.
No?
I'm sure he's a great guy and a musical genius. But when he was singing with the Doobie Brothers, it was like, get this guy out of here. He's depressing me, man. Get that other dude on, the China Grove guy. What's his name? God. Taking
Tom
it to
or
the
Pat
streets. I'm taking it the hell out of here if you're singing.
Oh, yeah.
That was co-written with Kenny Loggins. Who was
I've never been a Kenny Loggins fan.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's got some good songs too.
Yeah.
There's a version of him doing that song. It's significantly different.
Yeah, I would imagine it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed that you brought your guitar today. What are you going to do with it?
Let's at least take a look at this thing, man. You told me it
just
came
gonna
out of
show
the
it
custom
to you.
shop. Yeah, let's check it out. Go ahead and pop that thing out. So you're not playing with the pick, dude?
I'm playing with a pick. I'm not that pick. Not
Why
Joe
not?
Bonamassa's
Yeah,
pick.
play with Joe Bonamassa's pick,
No,
man.
no, that's occupies a place of reverence for me.
So this is this is based on it's a custom shop, Fender custom shop. It's a replica of a '61 Strat.
Love it.
I like it.
This pickup here is the Billy Gibbons. It's a humbucker.
Yeah.
In the single coil, but these are regular stock 61.
And you've
Yeah,
had
single
that
coils.
particular.
About 3 years.
So you mainly play with that rear? Rear pickup?
That's a
or does it just depend on the song?
It depends on the song, and interestingly, when I first got back to my '63 Super Reverb, we played a gig some 15 years ago at the Continental Club, and they have their back line is a Fender Super Reverb. And I plugged into that amp, and I was like, oh my God, that amp doesn't sound anything like this. It sounded so good. And I had taken it somewhere, and I kept trying to get it figured out what was going on. And the guy gave up on trying to get it figured out. And back to Mike Freitas, my amp guru, he figured out that there's this strange, it's a real thing, it's this phenomenon, it's called tin whiskers. And it's when some kind of a metal or tin object starts forming like a little stalactite almost, or one of those things. And it goes out and it grounds and it touches another piece of metal or something. It's really bizarre. Mm-hmm. But that was what was going on with the bass pod in that amp. So anyway, when he figured all this out,
and it was in the amp.
It was in the amp.
Oh, not in the pickup.
Nope, not the pickup.
Wow.
When he figured this out and got it fixed, I took it home and I plugged in my older Strat, the 73. I had never ever played the neck pickup or the middle pickup ever before. It was always the humbucker. And when I plugged it in after he fixed it, I was like, oh my God, I didn't know that neck pickup sounded like this. And then I heard that quintessential Fender, sound, with a Strat,
voice.
And a single coil pickup and an amp cranked up. So that restored my faith in the other pickups. So now I play all of them. I play like on Blue on Black when we play that. Yeah. I play the neck pickup.
So are you 3 position or 5 on yours?
It's 5.
It's a 5.
I rarely play that, the in between that everybody talks about. Yeah. I almost never play it.
Right.
The only time I ever play that is on Fast As You, the Dwight Yoakam song.
It took me forever to get that riff down. And I mean, it's just a tough riff for some reason. I got small hands. It's a tough riff. Yeah. So it took me forever to get it down. So I dropped the guitar to do this podcasting thing. I haven't played in a long time. Last night, and I was thinking about your set list. I said, Fast As You. I said, I got that. No way. I was like, yeah. I mean, I tried for maybe 20 minutes. I was like, damn it, I should have never let it go. Because it's not like riding a bike. I mean, this is use it or lose it, especially with a song like that. Dwight Yoakam's another guy that's, he's a great guitar player and he's underrated.
Yeah.
He comes up with great stuff.
I've understand that he's from California, and then the California's country music is a little different than the Tennessee country music. I don't really know about a lot of it.
He's a flashy dude.
Yeah. Remember Sling Blade?
Oh, yeah.
He was great in that movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
I wanted to beat his ass in Sling Blade.
Everybody did. Yeah. Well, he got his worse than that at the end of the movie.
Yeah, he's had a couple of acting parts that he did really well in. Yeah. Huh? Yeah, he's done some other stuff.
We Fast As You. I guess that's the only. I was thinking we do Tennessee Whiskey, which is our other
Tennessee Whiskey.
Song.
That's a good song. Easy to play. Yeah,
there's only 2 chords in it.
Yeah, it's not tough
and you would
all.
think that there's only 2 chords, it'll be easy. But y'all have to sync up and play them at the right spot.
That's a tough spot. Yeah. So what do you think the hardest song is in your set list? I mean, one that just took you a while to nail down, timing was rough, or maybe, I don't know, it was hard to get rhythm and lead together.
2 songs come to mind. The first one was Money.
Anything Pink Floyd would be tough. I would, because those guys, when they wrote, they were on acid. When they played, they were on acid. I think when they were born, they were on acid.
Wish You Were Here is really basic and fairly easy.
Money.
I couldn't get it down.
That one, and David Gilmour, he's not a shredder by any means, But
even his leads are kind of slow, but they're melodic as hell. They're great.
I believe if you're gonna play David Gilmour on those big iconic solos, you should really play it the way he did it. So it really took me a while to get to where I was confident on that one. And it's all the big high note near the end of the song. And I can't play it on this guitar because it's 1 fret short. I have to play it on my Les Paul. But a big part of his playing is that whammy bar,
Yeah.
But the other one is a fairly newer song that we've done, and it's remember "Let's Go Crazy" by Prince.
Yeah.
We do the Incubus version. If you've never heard it, check it out.
I haven't heard
it. It totally rocks. But the end of that song is a big solo guitar part, and it's Prince. Prince is a motherfucker on the guitar. There's another guy who doesn't. Yeah, maybe
he reminded me so much of Hendrix.
Yeah,
just in it. his compositions more than anything else.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the guy's, amazingly
I have
talented.
to admit, I missed the boat on Prince until I saw, I think it was a George Harrison tribute. It was like, what?
Yeah.
Is that guy?
Oh, I know. He's crazy.
Yeah.
Another
Amazing.
little dude, too.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's
yeah.
about 3 feet tall.
Well,
Yeah.
on that song, my guitar teacher told me that he listened to the Incubus version, and he said he told me this whole history about. He said black rock guitar players, they have a different set of influences than white rock guitar players, and he's like, if the way that he's playing this song is like a black player. He said, and he brought up Vernon Reid from Living Colour. He brought up Prince, and it all started with Jimi Hendrix. But he said something like a white guy might play this song like, but the way he's playing it is like, and he said even the way he's holding his pick is different.
Right.
Now I remember noticing, I saw Living Colour. You ever see Living Colour play?
Yeah.
God, those guys were phenomenal. They were so good. And I remember noticing, he plays his guitar real high.
Yeah.
But I do remember that he held his pick kind of like that. You know, not like this, but like this.
Right.
And he told me he could tell by listening to the recording,
He's
even
not picking,
Incubus,
he's brushing. Yeah.
that he's playing it kind of noisy.
Yeah.
But the end of that solo, I'm not a shredder, and Prince is totally shredding on that
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
So I started out trying to play it where, like, shredding, because I can do a couple of, I can do stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's not really my forte. So
Yeah.
my Glenn, my guitar teacher, said, I think you should do something different. Just do like, more traditional blues licks or do something different. So what I did is I did Peter Frampton. Total Peter Frampton.
There you
So
go.
I just play Peter Frampton on the end of it. And
Yeah.
then when I come to the end of it, I just go,
Walking
and then the
on
drums
Just-
kick us
yeah.
in.
Walking it right down.
Yeah.
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 I wonder what Peter Frampton's influences were, because he's out of Britain, isn't he?
He is. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I wonder.
He was with a band called Spooky Tooth.
Humble Pie, I think.
Humble
yeah,
Pie,
maybe,
yeah, was
also.
probably the biggest
Yeah.
pre-solo thing. Yeah.
Y'all ever hear of not Chicken Foot, but Chicken Shack? A group called Chicken Shack.
It sounds familiar.
Man, they were awesome. Back in the 60s. Oh, yeah.
Chicken Shack.
Chicken Shack. Badass.
One hit
yeah.
wonder?
Oh, no. No. 5 or 6 albums, maybe.
Really?
Yeah.
How did I
great.
miss that?
And I can't remember the lead guitarist's name, but if you get a chance, YouTube Chicken Shack, check it out. Man.
One
You'll
word?
like it. Yeah. Yeah, you'll like it. Yeah. They remind me of the old Fleetwood Mac, but just had a great lead guitarist, and he was also the vocalist, and he was good, man.
Huh.
Hell yeah.
Where
Real
are they
good.
from?
Britain, somewhere over there, across the pond. So where a lot of our rock and roll musicians came from.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. By
I was
way
surprised
of,
the first
by way
time
of America first,
Right.
and then they perfected a lot of things.
I was surprised the first time I heard Jeff Beck speak. I was like, "Wow, he's not from here." I thought for sure he was
Really?
from California. Or
He looks a
something.
little like Nigel, right?
He really
does. The hair thing. It nails it, right. I think
That's it.
they were looking at those early 70s dudes like him and Rod Stewart when they sort of got that look.
There's a bunch of bands that have said they thought that movie was about them. Aerosmith said that, Metallica, a bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the lines in that, they're at the hotel and getting ready for their gig the next day, and one of their songs comes on the radio, and they get everyone, hey, listen to the song, and they're all like, oh, this is great, listen to the song, and then at the end of the song, the DJ says, that was Spinal Tap residing in the Where Are They Now file. They're about to play the
Took
next
the
night.
shine right off of that.
Yeah.
Stonehenge.
So I don't know if you guys get on Netflix too often, but there's a new documentary, and it's been out a little while. Echoes in the Canyon. Have you seen that?
Mm-mm.
Oh, awesome! And it's got the guys from Crosby, Stills, Nash, and a whole bunch of those guys from back in the '60s. Neil Young's in it, I believe. Buffalo Springfield.
Mm-hmm.
But it talks about that part of L.A. where all those guys got together, including like Frank Zappa, another great guitarist, underrated.
Oh, I don't know if he's underrated. Guitar players know him, but
guitar players know
he's
him.
not mentioned like Jimmy and
He's not. He's never in that same group, and he ought to be because he
Brilliant.
was great. Yeah, but it talks about, and it's a good feeling show to watch. About maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. But they're interviewing all these guys, and the guy that does it is Bob Dylan's son, Jacob Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I'd watch it again. I've already seen it twice.
What's the name of that?
So Echoes in the Canyon. And
Cool.
I'll send you the link.
Yeah, do that.
But yeah, it's an amazing show to watch. It's worth the time, and it talks about how they went to, even the Beach Boys. How they went to each other's house and they do drugs and do all this shit and come up with music and kind of bounce stuff off each
You
other.
think Charlie Manson was trying to edge his
Possibly.
way into that group?
But all
He
all the major tunes that came out of that era,
Yeah.
you'll recognize every last one of them.
Yeah.
All those were a collaboration of all those people. Mama Cass and just all those. I mean, it was, and they all lived in that little neighborhood down in the canyon.
Mm-hmm.
It was badass, And they said that still goes on today. That area
Really?
still is just the birthplace of a lot of creativity.
shoot, you think about Jackson Brown, the
Jackson
Eagles,
Brown was in it. Yeah,
all kinds of bands.
I heard the Eagles came out of it. That they were the band for Linda Ronstadt.
Yeah,
for a while.
They were.
Really, and they just broke off, told her to go get screwed.
And they got Joe Walsh, and they really hit.
Oh, yeah.
I think she encouraged them. She was real helpful to them. They didn't leave any on bad terms.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think she helped them get going.
Yeah. Well, they were a great band anyway.
Well, and in the beginning, before Joe Walsh was in the band, they had, I think his name was Bernie Leadon, but there was a guy who played banjo and stuff like that. In the beginning of the Eagles, they were almost more country.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to, I think the rest of the band wanted to go into more of a rock thing, and I think he was resistant to that, and that's why they brought in Joe Walsh. I have a story about Joe Walsh.
Is a nut.
I have a story about him. A band I played in called Therefore I Am. This was in the 90s. And Niles Flagg was the bass player, and he used to have a job at the, I think it's the Warwick Hotel, this old historic hotel in Houston in the medical center. And Joe Walsh was in town, and he was staying at the hotel. And he said he happened to work different shifts through this weekend, and he saw Joe Walsh coming in and out of the hotel at all different times, day, night, middle of the night, early morning, middle of the afternoon. He said every single time he was so fucked up. He was totally out of his mind. He had people just carrying him practically every single time he saw him. That was the state he was in.
Yeah.
And I think when he joined the Eagles, there was a pretty clear directive that he couldn't act like that, or I don't know. There was, maybe he was already reformed, or
Trying to.
But there was, it was.
He's a hell of a comedian too.
Really?
Oh yeah, he's got a great sense.
Have you
of
seen
humor.
that YouTube thing where he's setting up a guitar?
I think I have.
It's funny as hell.
Yeah. He's a hell of a comedian, man.
He's
great.
Ringo Starr's brother-in-law too. Did you know that?
He is?
Yep.
Really? I didn't know that either.
Yep. That's why they're always together at the functions and stuff, because they're family now.
See, guys, this podcast is a wealth of information. All this stuff that none of us
The
knew.
things that we know.
That's
until
right.
today. So, all right. Reverb Cartel.
The Reverb Cartel.
The Reverb
Now
Cartel.
we're not affiliated with the the cartel that everybody knows about.
Oh,
We
so
have nothing to do with them.
y'all don't do the beheadings or none of that?
That's a shame, man.
Not anymore.
You've got a hell of an opportunity right now to make a bunch of money. Too bad.
That's right.
No, we just want to state that clearly for the record.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mark, you want to talk about the dates again? You had a couple dates of their upcoming events.
Well, I know that May 1st they're going to be at
Dan Electro's.
Is it still called Dan Electro's Guitar Bar?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It is. That's a little piece of history.
And that's
there
in the
Houston.
Heights
Yes, sir.
on
East
24th.
24th.
East 24th.
And we're starting early. We're going to be playing at 8 o'clock.
And that's May
1st, I
May
think.
1st
2
is
weeks
a-
from today.
May
It's a
1st.
Saturday, and
Yes, sir.
they're going to throw us out at noon, at midnight.
Yes.
because that's the way it is for noise ordinance.
Yeah, and we have a band playing after us. We're going to play a couple of sets, and we got another band coming in. It's going to, because we're old, we're not as young as we used to be, especially our drummer.
So about 10:30 starts to wear down, huh?
Man,
songs get slower.
He gets the brushes out.
We played 3 sets at that antique festival, and by the third one, interestingly, it got really cold. So like, oh man, we're cold, stiff, tired, and old. No, not us, just the drummer.
But he's the only one sitting down anyway.
He's actually the youngest guy in the band. Yeah.
All right.
So other than that, I don't know. But
Strawberry Festival 2 weeks after that in
Oh,
Pasadena
awesome.
on Friday, May 14th.
You haven't been there. It's going to blow you away.
I can't wait.
There'd be all kind of people with strawberries all over their face.
I can't wait.
Funnel cake.
My daughter is coming to that one too, and my mom and dad.
Cool.
I should give a shout out to my mom and dad. I haven't mentioned them, but they've been supportive of me from the very beginning.
And that counts for so much, man.
It sure
really
does.
does.
And it's uncommon too, because I know a lot of musicians that never had the support of their parents, and
Yeah, like Joe Walsh. I don't know, just saying that. But anyway, it's been good. And Eric, I don't know how far you had to drive, but I appreciate you coming out, man.
oh, it's been great.
So it's been really good. Now, how can people get in touch if they want to book you guys? If
I'm glad you asked that.
a good thing coming up.
We're on Facebook, the Reverb Cartel.
Okay.
Marathon Music is our booking agent.
Okay.
And you can reach me. We're also on Instagram.
All right.
And my number is 832-544-5510. We're ready to play.
There you
Good
go.
deal.
Yeah. So guys, we had a good time. We're about halfway through the bottle.
I think I'm the only one that's
guess.
been drinking.
I've been drinking.
I can't reach it, but I did have a nice full glass.
You want some more? You ready to go? Okay.
Thank you.
We're all adults here.
There you go.
That's right.
All right, guys. If you've subscribed to the channel in the past month, man, I really appreciate it. We busted 200. I think we're up to like 218 subscribers now. So
Awesome.
yeah, we're doing okay. And I think we'll hit our goal. Our goal is 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, something like that.
Be nice.
So yeah, we're on the way. If you know somebody who has not subscribed, and get them to check the channel out, man. There's always something good here, and we're doing all right. So guys, look forward to seeing you in the next one. Don't know when it'll be, don't know what it'll be, but it's going to be something good. That's for damn sure. And
Right on.
who knows, if there's any of this bottle left, maybe we'll hit it. If not, we'll find something else. to
They
drink.
make more every day.
There you go. All right. Well, anyway, we'll be out of here, and until the next one, we'll see you later.
All right. Thanks,
a lot.
Hank.
All right. Cool.
Beautiful, man. I love that one.
How'd I
Yeah,
do?
that came out great.